Jewish food, chicken broth. Recipes from my ancestors' diaries. Jewish chicken broth is not only a delicious dish but also a symbol of Jewish cuisine and culture. It brings people together around the table and passes on traditions and history from generation to generation. Jewish chicken broth is more than just food. It is science, history, and a family tradition that unites generations. It teaches us patience, care, and respect for our roots. As the Jewish proverb says, "He who preserves traditions preserves the soul of the people." And as long as the aroma of chicken broth fills our home, we remember our history and pass it on. Jewish chicken broth is not just food, but an entire layer of culture, a symbol of home comfort and the bond between generations. In our family, the recipe for this dish was passed down orally like a treasured heirloom, and its preparation was a true ritual, uniting everyone around the table. Jewish-style chicken broth. Prepare the chicken, then cut it into pieces, place them in a saucepan, cover with cold water, and bring to a boil, skimming off any foam with a slotted spoon. Add the well-washed and peeled onion, carrot, pepper, parsley, and salt to the broth and cook until tender. Strain the cooked broth, arrange the pieces of meat on plates, and pour the broth over them. Chicken broth holds a special place in Jewish cuisine. In traditional Ashkenazi families, it was considered an essential dish for Shabbat and holidays. Chicken broth is believed to have healing properties, and even popularly known as Jewish penicillin. It was used to treat colds, strengthen children, and support elderly relatives. In the old days, chicken was not readily available, and preparing broth was considered a special occasion. In the Jewish shtetls of Eastern Europe, housewives would gather, discuss the news, and share culinary secrets, while children ran around, waiting for a fragrant bowl of golden broth to appear on the table. Chicken broth. How much is in those words? The fragrant, enticing aroma filling the kitchen during cooking whets the whole family's appetite. A broth made by a Jewish mother is always poetry. Sometimes simple and wise, sometimes deeply philosophical. There's nothing better than chicken broth when you're sick. Just taste a little of this life-giving liquid, and the color returns to your cheeks. What's its secret? The ancient Jews and Egyptians prescribed broth to treat colds. Medieval doctors also knew of its healing properties. All cultures have their own recipes for this dish. The famous Jewish penicillin, chicken broth, a traditional dish of European Jewish cuisine, especially popular in Ukraine and Poland. It is also considered medicinal and very beneficial for health in other Jewish communities around the world. Today, more than 1,000 doctors and researchers have concluded that chicken broth soothes the upper respiratory tract and stimulates neutrophil activity, which helps remove mucus from a sore throat. It also has a mild anti-inflammatory effect. All you need to make chicken broth in a saucepan is chicken, water, vegetables, and a few spices. However, we come to the most interesting part, the differences in chicken broth in cuisines around the world. In Cuba, great emphasis is placed on onions and garlic, while in the German tradition, celery, parsley, onions, and a little garlic are added to the soup. Sweet potatoes, turnips, and dill are sometimes also added. My mother approached the preparation of chicken broth with a scientific and experienced approach. She chose domestic chicken, as it imparts a rich flavor and clarity to the broth. A crucial step was simmering it slowly over low heat. This ensured all the beneficial nutrients were absorbed into the liquid, while the meat remained juicy. First, the chicken was thoroughly rinsed, then covered with cold water and brought to a boil, skimming off any foam. Afterward, the broth was discarded. The chicken was refilled with clean water and continued simmering. Chicken is usually cooked with the skin on to create a richer broth. This is an important scientific step, removing proteins that can make the broth cloudy and unhealthy. After this, onions, carrots, celery, parsley, and sometimes parsnips were added. My mother always said, "Broth appreciates patience." It was simmered for several hours to ensure a rich, clear, and aromatic broth. The finished broth was strained through cheesecloth to ensure it was perfectly clear as a tear. In our family, chicken broth was more than just a dish, but a true symbol of care and love. It was served on Shabbat, during illness, and at family gatherings. My mother told me that her grandmother made the broth exactly the same way, using the same techniques and ingredients, as she did 100 years ago in her Jewish shtetl. Every time I taste this broth, I feel a connection with the past, with our ancestors, with their hopes and dreams. Jewish chicken broth is not only a delicious dish but also a symbol of Jewish cuisine and culture. It brings people together around the table and passes on traditions and history from generation to generation. Jewish chicken broth is more than just food. It is science, history, and a family tradition that unites generations. It teaches us patience, care, and respect for our roots. As the Jewish proverb says, "He who preserves traditions preserves the soul of the people." And as long as the aroma of chicken broth fills our home, we remember our history and pass it on.